Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'na wa zidna ilma. Let's begin inshallah our book number 3 with the dua from the Quran. Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana li hadha وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهُ. Praise to Allah who has guided us to this, and we would never have been guided if Allah had not guided us. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who blessed us with the opportunity to complete book number 1, book number 2, and here we start book number 3. So lesson number 1, Ad-Darsu al-Awwalu, and it is about al-i'rabu wal-bina'u. Al-i'rabu wal-bina'u, and we discussed about the key points. So if you look at the translation, it says declinable and non-declinable. As we have discussed many times that there are two types of nouns, the nouns whose endings change, and there are some nouns, their endings do not change. Before we proceed to al-i'rab wal-bina, I'll just have a quick look on the properties of the noun. As we know that there are 4 properties of a noun, and it is very, very important for us to know these 4. And as you know that we have discussed them in detail in book number 1, in book number 2. So we are not going to discuss about them one by one. But just a quick review for you to remember that a noun has 4 properties. And what are those? The first one is the capacity, an-nakiratu wal-ma'rifatu. So we know that a noun will be either common noun, like kitabun, a book, or a proper noun, al-kitabu, the book. So a noun has capacity, then it has gender, and we know that either it's al-mudhakkaru, which is masculine, for example, ibnun, a boy or a son, and al-mu'annathu, which is ibnatun, a girl or a daughter. So capacity, gender, and then we have number, al-adadu. And as we have discussed that there are 3 types of adad in Arabic. Al-mufradu, which is single, like muslimun, a Muslim. And then we have al-muthanna, which is the dual, like muslimani, and we know the ani sound. And then we have the plural, muslimuna, the una sound. So number, and then we have the status, al-i'rabu. As we can see here, the title is al-i'rabu wal-bina'u. So that means that the main focus will be on this part, which is number 4, the status or al-i'rab. And we know that every noun in Arabic language has 3 forms. How many forms? 3. Al-raf'u, which is the doer, if it is a verbal sentence. In the verbal sentence, we say the doer, and in a nominal sentence, in jumlatul ismiya, we say mubtada. So either it's in the place of the mubtada or it is in the place of the doer, ar-raf'u. Then we have an-nasbu. An-nasbu is in the place of the receiver, as we say the object, as we can see here, musliman. So the sign of raf'u is dhamma, muslimun, an-nasb is musliman, and al-jar is muslimin. So when the noun is the doer, it will be with dhamma. When it is the receiver of the action, it will be with fatha. And when it comes after the preposition, it will be with kasra or majroor. So i'rab, status. Now we will discuss about this in detail now from this lesson. Okay, al-i'rabu wal-bina'u. So basically nouns are in one of the 2 forms. So the nouns will be either mu'rabun, which is declinable, or they also call it, like in English, triptot. So what is i'rab basically? if we look in the details or to see here, Araba yorebu iraban. Which verb form is this? Do you remember?
Aslama. Aslama yuslimu islaman.
Islam, number 4. Excellent. So this is verb form number 4. Araba yorebu iraban. To state clearly, to express something clearly, without any kind of doubt or without any kind of hesitation. That's why the people are called, the people who speak Arabic are called Arabun, right? Those who speak Arabic. Why? Because they state whatever they speak in a very clear and expressive manner. That's why they are called Arab. So Araba yu'rabu Araban, and Ismul Fa'il will be Mu'ribun, as we know. And if you remember, in the derived forms of the verb, Ismul Maf'ul and Dharf Makan, they are the same. So either it's the receiver of the action, or it's Ismul Maf'ul, or it is used as Dharf Makan. Do you remember the example like we discussed? Salla yusalli, to pray. And the person who prays is called Musallin, and the place where we pray is called Musalla, right? Musalla. So the one who is prayed upon, like if someone dies and we pray upon him, is also Musalla. And the place where we pray is also called Musalla, the place of praying. So this is very important point that we need to remember, that in the derived forms of the verb, Ismul Maf'ul and Dharf Makan will be the same. Like Munqalab and Munqalabun, right? So Munqalab is the place of return, and it means returning to a place or returning. All right, so the change in the status of the word due to an agent, al-amil, without any change in the meaning is called mu'rabun. So what is mu'rabun? As we can see here, declinable or triptot, that the status of the word will change, but the meaning will not change. What is meant by the status? That's why it's named status. Like it could be marfu, it could be mansub, and it could be majroor. All right. For example, we say Muhammadun Rasulullah. Muhammadun. What is the status of Muhammad? The kalima or the word Muhammad is mubtada. It is marfu. Muhammadun Rasulullah. So it is marfu. Then we say Ashhadu anna Muhammadan. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Now we say Muhammadan. Why is it Muhammadan? Because of
the amil.
Because of anna, right? Amil, which is anna, right? So ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. And then we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. So Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. We are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send blessings on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So ala Muhammadin. So in the first sentence, it's Muhammadun. In the second, it is Muhammadan. And the third, it is Muhammadin. So the status has changed, but Muhammad, the kalima Muhammad, the meaning doesn't change. It remains as it is. And if we see here now, Ja al-Mudarrisu, the teacher came. So it is marfu because it has dhamma over here. So alamat raf is dhamma, as we can see here. Sa'altu al-mudarrisa, I asked the teacher. Here it is mansub. And sallamtu ala al-mudarrisi, it is majroor. I said Assalamu alaikum to the, or I greeted Islamic greetings to the teacher. Sallamtu ala al-mudarrisi. Okay, now ja al-mudarrisu. Where is the amil over here? Because an agent has to be there. There has to be something. Because of that, the noun will never ever be marfu or mansub or majroor by itself without any reason. Whenever it is marfu or mansub or majroor, there has to be a reason. Okay, we have learned that like the prepositions like ala, as we can see here, they will bring the noun to majroor and it becomes ala al-mudarrisi. However, the verbs are also in the category of amil. They also do some function. Why? Because when we have the first form of the verb ja'a, after that we know the fa'il will always be marfu. So ja'a al-mudarrisu. Can we say ja'a al-mudarrisa or ja'a al-mudarrisi?
No.
We cannot. Why? Because the mudarris is the doer, okay, and the doer has to be always marfu. That's why we will say ja al mudarrisu. Sa'altu al mudarrisa. Here, why it is mansub al mudarrisa?
It's an object.
It's an object because sa'ala, he asked, and sa'altu, I asked. So I is the subject, sa'ala is the verb, and al mudarris is the object. Sa'altu al-mudarrisa, I asked the teacher, and sallamtu ala al-mudarrisi, I greeted the teacher. So here it is mudarrisi, it has kasra because of ala, right? So here the verb is the amil, and here harf jar is the amil. So the status will change, and it will change because of an amil or agent. And when this change takes place, it is called mu'rabun. Okay, now here, mu'rabun, is it ismul maf'ul or dharf makan? It is dharf makan. Why? Because it is a place where the ending changes. Okay, so it's a place of changing, right? So something that has been stated, something that has been expressed. So the place of expression where the change has taken place, that is called mu'rab. If we say this is ismul maf'ul, that means that it has been stated. But we are not talking about something that has been stated, because when we state something, it is like once and that's it. But when we say it's dharf makan, that means this is the makan of the haraka, like the vowels, like fatha, dhamma, or kasra, where the ending changes. So sometimes it will be dhamma, sometimes it will be fatha, and sometimes it will be kasra. So that's why we will say that the noun is mu'rab. That's why we will say noun is mu'rab, and we will consider it as dharf makan, the place of change, because it changes all the time. Sometimes it is marfu, sometimes it is mansub, and sometimes it is majroor. Okay, so al-i'rab, as we can see here, it's clear now that it means to state clearly. And why we say it is declinable? Because of being dharf makan, and we change it either to marfu or mansub or majroor. That's why it is translated as declinable. Yani it has three states in three forms. Three states in three forms. It is marfu, mansub, and majroor. All right, then we talk about the second form, which is mabniyun, noun, which is a noun which is non-declinable or diptote. Mabniyun, okay. Now, I'm sure you still remember that we have discussed that ism al-manqus, which is bana yabni, bina'an. So bina'an is also masdar. Bana, to build. Yabni, he builds. Bina'an is the masdar, the building, and ism al-fa'il will be banin, and ism al-maf'ul will be mabniyun. Mabniyun. So why it is called mabniyun? Because it is something, we know that building is something that is fixed. Once it has been placed, we cannot just simply remove it from one place to the other place. So that's why it is called mabniyun, that it is fixed. So if you look at the topic now, as it says al-i'rabu wal-bina'u, so that means declinable and non-declinable nouns. That means the nouns that are flexible and the nouns that do not change. And why they do not change? Al-bina'u means building, and with refers to the building, it means something that will not change because of the amil. So nouns are said to be non-declinable, mabniyun, when their endings do not change in spite of the presence of an or the agent. So even if we have amil over there, the ending will not change. So that's it. There are only two types of nouns, mu'rabun and mabniyun. Mu'rabun means they are declinable, and mabniyun means they are non-declinable. Now see here, ja'a ha'ulai. Okay, now we can see here that ha'ulai is marfu, but we will say this is fi mahalli raf'in. Also, please remember that when we say fi mahalli raf'in, it only happens with the nouns that are mabniyun. For any other noun, we cannot use the term mabniyun, or we cannot use the term fi mahalli raf'in. We will only use the term when the noun is mabniyun. So ja'a ha'ulai. Ha'ulai is in the place of the doer. Then we have sa'altu ha'ulai fi mahalli nasbin. Now here, if we look at like the regular form, it should be ha'ula'a and this one should be haula u, right? This one should have dhamma, and this one should have fatha. But this is not the case. Why? Because this noun is mabniyun. And then we have sallamtu haulai fi mahalli jarrin. So whenever a noun has mabni construction, it will be the same when it is marfu, it will be the same when it is mansub, and it will be the same when it is majroor. However, we will say that this is fi mahalli raf'in, wa fi mahalli nasbin, and fi mahalli jarrin. Is this clear so far?
Yes.
Yeah, and I do believe this is basically a review of what we learned in book number 1, not even in book number 2. So I do believe that, inshallah, there shouldn't be any problem. Now we talk about the alamatul i'rabi, and basically this is lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 does not consist of any new ideas. It basically consists of the review of book number 1 and book number 2. I have translated everything in English over here, but when we start the lesson, inshallah, in the next, hopefully, class, then you will see that all of this information will be Arabic, and inshallah, it will be much easier for you to understand by then. But as of now, I want you to focus on this so that when we do the lesson, you don't have any problems. So now we discuss about the alamatul i'rab, the signs of i'rab, and here we are talking about al-asliyatu, the primary endings. So there are 2 types of endings, I guess, like, or there are 3 types of endings. So the first one that we are dealing with is alamatul i'rabi al-asliyatu, the primary endings. Aslun is used for something that is original, and from aslun, the plural is usulun, like the roots, and then we talk about asliyatu, that means primary. And as we have discussed that mu'rabun, the declinable noun, it has 3 states in 3 forms. 3 states in 3 forms, okay? And the dhamma indicates the nominative case, as we have discussed. Al-rafa, fatha indicates the accusative case, as we have discussed. An-nasb, and the kasra indicates the genitive case, al-jar. All right. So now if you see here, we have only 2 types of nouns that are mu'rab. Only 2 types of noun. Number 1, al-ism al-mufradu, singular noun. A singular noun, whether it is a proper noun or a common noun. For example, muslimun, musliman, muslimin. Okay, we know that every noun has 3 forms, raf and nasb and jar. And how many states does it have? It has 3 states. What are those? Mun, man, min. Okay, when we talk about the i'rab, shall we say that this is marfu by tanween? How will we say when we have tanween over there? Please
Marfu
remember
with
that,
dhamma.
yeah, tanween itself is not any vowel sign. It's basically the noon sound which has been replaced by another vowel sign. So when we have a noun that has tanween, like zaydun, zaydan, zaydin, or it has muslimun, musliman, muslimin, so we will say that this is marfu, or it is raf bil dhamma, wa mansub bil fatha, and majroor bil kasra. All right. So we will not say that it's marfu by tanween, because if we say it's marfu by tanween, then muslimun, it is also tanween, musliman is also tanween, and muslimin is also tanween. It has only one name, but we have 3 different states. So that's why we say this is marfu by the dhamma, and this is mansub by the fatha, and this is majroor by the kasra. Okay, then we have either it's a common noun or a proper noun. We will have dhamma, fatha, and kasra. And jam'u taksir, the broken plural. Kitabun. What is the plural of kitabun? Kutubun, right? So a jam'u taksir, also the ending of jam'u taksir has 3 forms in 3 states. So it has 3 forms and 3 states: al-kutubu, al-kutuba, and al-kutubi. So it has dhamma, fatha, and kasra. Did you get the idea when I say 3 states and 3 forms? 3 forms we know: rafa, raf, an-nasb, and al-jar. And what is meant by states? Like it has dhamma, fatha, and kasra. As we can see here, al-muslimu, al-muslima, al-muslimi, and al-kutubu, al-kutuba, al-kutubi. So only singular noun and the broken plural, they have the real or the primary endings only. Two nouns. What are those? The singular noun, al-ism al-mufradu wa jam'u taksir. Only the broken plural and the singular noun, they have primary endings. The rest of the nouns, all of the nouns in Arabic language, they have secondary endings. What kind of endings do they have? Secondary. So primary only for the singular noun and the broken plural. Let's have a look over here. Alamatul I'rabi al-far'iyatu. Al-far'iyatu far'un, as we know, it is called for the branch. And when we talk about far'iyatu, that means the secondary, something that is not the main, not the head, not the main campus. It is called as the branch. So that's why it is called Alamatul I'rabi al-far'iyatu, the secondary endings. Okay, what is the difference between the primary endings and the secondary endings? In the primary endings, we have three forms and we have three states. But here we have two forms, two states and three forms. The forms will never change. They are always three, but they have two states, as we can see here, two states. How? The sound feminine plural, jam'ul mu'annithi as-salimu, al-muslimatu, al-muslimati, al-muslimati. How many states are there? Two states. What are those? Dhamma, kasra, and kasra. So the sound, a feminine plural, when it is mansub or majroor, or when it is in the position of nasb and jar, it will take kasra. It will take kasra. And here we are not discussing about the examples because there are examples in the lesson. Here I'm just giving you a brief idea of what we are going to have in the lesson. So I would like you to focus only on the endings so far, and inshallah, when we start our lesson, then we will have lots of examples over there. Okay, the diptot or partially flexible, al-mamnu min as-sarf. Okay, al-mamnu min as-sarf. We know that also it has two states. It has dhamma, fatha, and fatha. That means it does not take kasra. Here we have dhamma, kasra, kasra, and here we have dhamma, fatha, and fatha. Zainabu, Zainaba, Zainaba. Al-mamnu min as-sarf. Why is it mamnu min as-sarf? Because it's a feminine name. All the feminine names, all the feminine names are mamnu min as-sarf. So for example, you say ja'at Zainabu, ra'aytu Zainaba, ja'at Zainabu, Zainab came, ra'aytu Zainaba, I saw Zainab, and jalastu ma'a Zainaba, I sat with Zainab. So as you can see here, nasb and jar, it has fatha, it does not accept kasra. So that's why we say that it has two states in three forms. Similarly, ja'at al-muslimatu, and then you say ra'aytu al-muslimati and marartu bil-muslimati. So again, it will be خلق الله السماوات والأرض, as you can see here. So ati, and then we have ati. So it has two states. All right, so this is the first. Then we have al-muthanna, the dual. What do you remember about the dual? The dual has ani, aini, aini sound, right? Ani, aini, aini, right? So al-muslimani, al-muslimaini, al-muslimaini. So when we say al-muslimani, this is marfu by alif, right? And when we say al-muslimaini, it is mansub by ya. And when we say al-muslimaini, it is mansub by ya, majroor by ya. Ani, aini, aini. So also this one has two states. Ani, aini, aini. Okay, the sound masculine plural, jam'ul mudhakkari as-salimu, also una, ina, ina. Do you remember the sounds? Al-muslimuna, al-muslimina, al-muslimina. Una, ina, ina. So this is marfu by waw, and it is mansub by ya, and it is majroor by ya. Also, it has two states, una, ina, ina. So for the dual, it is ani, aini, aini, and for the plural, it is una, ina, ina. Then we talk about the 5 nouns, al-asma'ul khamsatu, when used in idafa construction. Yani when we use them as mudaf, mudaf alayh, then they will be used as with, when they are marfu, it will be with waw. When it is mansub, it will be with alif. And when it is majroor, it will be with ya, abu, aba, abi. Do you remember the 5 nouns? Quickly. Abu, aba, abi.
Akhu,
Akhu, akha, akhi.
Hamu, Fu,
Hamu, hama, hami. Okay. Fu,
Du,
fa, fi.
and Du,
Dhu, the, the.
the,
Excellent. Excellent. So 5 of them over there. But they will be used in this construction when they are used as idafa, or when they are used as mudaf. If they are not used as mudaf, then we will use the regular form of the noun. All right, so now we are discussing about the secondary endings. In secondary endings, we have the sound feminine plural, then we have al-mamnu min as-sarf, then al-muthanna, then sound masculine plural, and then we have the 5 nouns. So it has basically 5 forms of the noun which have the secondary endings. As we discussed, that like only 2 forms of the noun, they have primary endings, and the rest of the nouns, they have secondary endings. And here it is a summary, as we can see over here. So if you see here, now al-ismi, and then al-alamatu, al-raf'u, al-nasbu, al-jarru. So 3 by 3, what is meant by that? Any mathematician over there? What is meant by 3? Yeah?
3 states, 3 forms.
Excellent. 3 states in 3 forms. Perfect. What are those? Al-Muslimu, al-Muslima, al-Muslimin. It has Dhamma, Fatha, and Kasra. Perfect. Then Jamu Taksir, the same thing. So that's why both of them are highlighted. Al-Kutubu, Al-Kutuba, Al-Kutubi. Also, this is 3 by 3. Then we have 2 by 3. What is meant by that? 3 forms, 2 states. Okay. So it is like, how many nouns are there? 4 of them. Number 1, Jam'ul Mu'annithi Asalimu, Al-Muslimatu, Al-Muslimati, Al-Muslimati, Atu, Ati, Ati, or Atun, Atin, Atin. So it has 2 states. Then Mamnu min as-sarf, Zainabu, Zainaba, Zainaba, Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. Again, it has 2 states. Then we have Al-Muthanna, Al-Muslimani, Al-Muslimaini, Muslimaini, Ani, Aini, Aini. Also, it has 2 states, as we can see here. When we put alif over here, that means this is marfu by alif, and mansub bil ya, and majroor bil ya. Ani, Aini, Aini. And the same over here. Jam'ul Mudhakkiri as-Salimu, Al-Muslimuna, Una, Ina, Ina. So Una, it is marfu by waw, and then Ina, Ina, it is mansub and majroor by ya. Okay, so this is also ya over here, and ya over here, and ya over here. How would we recognize that it is muthanna, it is dual, or it is plural?
From sound,
The
sir.
meme patha and meme kasra.
Aini is
Excellent.
musanna.
Yes.
Ina is silent.
Meme kasra.
Yes, for the dual, we have aini sound. Ani, aini. And for the plural, we have the una, ina sound. So aini, and una, ina. So when you are reciting the Quran, you need to be very careful, because sometimes we have this al-muthanna being used over there. But since we are used to the ina sound, that's why we might tend to ignore it, and we might recite it as ina instead of aini. So this is where we need to be careful. And then we have al-asma al-khamsatu. They have 3 different states. Abu, Aba, Abi. So we say that marfu bil waw, wa mansub bil alif, wa majroor bil ya. So this is a summary of the forms of the verb, primary and the secondary. All right. Then we have estimated endings, or we call them latent or the hidden endings. What kind of endings? Hidden or estimated endings. Okay. This is called al-i'rabu al-taqdiriyu. Should be the over here. Al-i'rabu al-taqdiriyu. What's the meaning of taqdir?
Qaddara, taqdir, that is to estimate.
Yeah, it's written over here. Qaddara yuqaddiru taqdiran. and then we have ism al-fa'il is
That
muqaddirun,
which is proportion
and
or
ism
estimate.
al-maf'ul is muqaddarun. Okay, so when it refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's used 3 times in the Quran, taqdir al-aziz al-alim, 3 times used in the Quran. So that means the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we talk about in every day, then we mean to estimate something. Also, at-taqdir wa shukr, thanks and appreciation. The word taqdir is also used for appreciation. At-taqdir wa shukru, thanks and appreciation. But in this context, it means to estimate or to hide something. And when we say it is muqaddar, that means it is hidden or it is estimated. So that's why we call it al-i'rabu at-taqdiriyu. That means estimated endings. And why do we call them estimated endings? We will see now. There are 3 types of nouns in which the endings do not appear. Why do we call them al-i'rabu at-taqdiriyu? We call them estimated endings. Why? Because the endings do not appear. And there are only 3 types of nouns over there whose endings do not appear. That's why we say that the ending is muqaddar or muqaddara. Okay, now we see here. The first one is called al-ismu al-maqsuru, maqsuru, walaysa maksur, not with kaf, this is with qaf. So restricted nouns, the nouns that are restricted. Qasara yaqsuru, to restrict something. Qasrun, you might have heard about that. Qasrun is also used for the palace, which is restricted. Qasirun ismul fa'il, wa maqsurun ismul maf'ul, something that is restricted. And why it is called restricted noun? Because it has only these nouns end with alif or alif maqsura. So basically they end with alif. According to the grammarians, alif or alif maqsura, they are the same. So that's why we say that the ending is alif or alif maqsura, and the ending is restricted and the ending is hidden. For example, fatan is marfu', fatan is mansub, and fatan is majroor. Okay, so now how would we know that it is marfu', mansub, or majroor? Of course, according to the usage in the sentence. But how will we say that this the ending is marfu or mansub or majroor? So that's why we say that this is the ending is muqaddar or the muqaddara. The ending is hidden. That's why it is called al-maqsur or the restricted noun. Similarly, we have asan and asan and asan. So a stick, again, as we can see here, it is the same in the 3 forms. And when we use al with that, it will be the same. Al-fata, 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 and al-asa, al-asa, al-asa. And inshallah, when we discuss the lesson, then we will see the examples as well, like how they are used in the sentence. So the first one is when we talk about the estimated endings or al-i'rab at-taqdiriyu, the first one is maqsur. Guess the second one.
Manqus.
Manqus, perfect. The defective nouns, manqus, okay? These nouns end with an original ya with kasra before it. So these nouns always end with ya and they always have kasra before them. That's why we call them manqus. In this group, al-rafu and al-jaru endings are hidden. So this one and this one is hidden. However, a nasbu ending appears. So a nasb is not hidden. In the maqsur, all the 3 endings are hidden. But here, only the rafu and the jaru are, these states are hidden, whereas the nasb state appears. Look over here, without al, qadin, and al-raf is qadin, and al-jar is qadin, but al-nasb is qadiyan. So in the nasb, the ya has appeared. Qadin, qadiyan, qadin. And when we have al with that, then also the ya comes back, al-qadi, al-qadi. But when we talk about the mansub, you know that the ya accepts fatha. The ya will accept fatha, but the alif maqsura or the alif will not accept fatha. So that's why the fatha comes back over here. So qadin, basically it is qadiyun. You remember that? Qada yaqdi, qadiyun, right? And then it has been replaced by the dhammatain has been replaced by kasratain, and we call it al-nun at-tanween al-iwad. That like And because like the grammarians say that like dammatain, they are heavier on the ya, that's why it has changed into qadin. So qadin, qadiyan, qadin. Do you remember the plural of qadin?
Qudatun.
Qudatun. Excellent, perfect. And also it has two plurals as I told you. Number one, it is on the pattern of fu'atun, okay? Now qudatun. And the second one, ani, una. That ending, like all the nouns, all the derived forms of the noun, they will have the ani, una ending. So qadin, qadiyani, qadiyuna, qadiyuna, okay? And similarly, we have also discussed like da'i, and then the plural is du'atun, nahwiyun, and the plural is nuhatun, but we also say nahwiyuna and nahwiyina. So also it can have the ending of una, ina, and it comes on the specific pattern, which is fu'atun, like qudatun. All right. And then the mudaf of the pronoun first person singular, you know that al-ya al-mutakallim, do you remember that? That al-ya al-mutakallim, when it is connected to a noun, then the ending will disappear. For example, we have here kitab plus ya al-mutakallim, kitabi. So in al-rafu, it will be kitabi, al-nasbu, it will be kitabi, and al-jaru, it will be also kitabi. So هذا كتابي في محل رفع اشتريت كتابي في محل نصب وما جئت بكتابي اليوم. What will be the translation of this sentence? ما جئت بكتابي اليوم.
I didn't come with my book today.
Excellent. I didn't bring my book with me today, or I didn't come with my book today. So here it is هذا كتابي, it is marfu. Why it is marfu? Because هذا is mubtada and kitabi is khabar. Ishtaraitu, I bought, kitabi, my book. So
Maf'ul.
it is maf'ul bihi. And ma ji'tu bi kitabi, here it is majroor. So we say this is fi mahalli raf'in wa nasbin wa jarin. And we have discussed about this many times in book number 2. Then we have the easier part, the declinable nouns. It should be non-declinable nouns, right? Al-mabniyu min al-asma'i, the non-declinable nouns, the ones that cannot be, non-declinable nouns. So, yeah. All right, so all nouns are declinable except for the following types. So all nouns are declinable except for the following types, and we have discussed these types in book number 1, not even in book number 2. Ad-damairu, all the pronouns, and they are mabniyun. For example, hadi damairu raf'i, and these pronouns are in nominative case. For example, huwa, hum. Do you remember the conjugation of huwa? Yes, please.
Huwa,
Huma, hum.
hiya,
Huma, hunna. Anta, antuma, antum. Anti, antuma, antunna. Ana, and nahnu. So all of them are marfu. All of them are marfu. Excellent. And similarly, past tense verb like dhahabtu and qalu, they are also marfu. They are in the place of rafa. Then we have hadhihi damairun nasbi. When will the pronouns be mansub? Yes, please tell me.
It is attached to the verb or
Excellent. Only to the verb. When they are attached to the verb, or when they are ismu inna, right? Innaka, right? When they are ismu inna, or when they are attached to a verb, and then they will be always mansub. Ra'aytuhu, ra'aytuhuma, ra'aytuhum, ra'aytuha, ra'aytuhuma, ra'aytuhunna. And then you can do the complete conjugation with ra'aytu. So ra'aytuhu, I saw him. So here, who is in the place of nasb. So these pronouns are in accusative case. As'aluka, again, it is in the place of object, a nasb, and darabani, he hit me, also it is in the place of nasb. Okay, and these pronouns are in the genitive case. Hadi damairul jarri. Kitabuhu. Why kitabuhu is majroor? Why? It is mudaf
Who is
ilayh.
mudaf ilayh?
Yes.
Mudaf.
Excellent. So when the noun is mudaf ilayh, or when it comes after the preposition, it will be majroor. So the noun will be majroor only for 2 reasons. Either it is mudaf ilayh, or it comes after the preposition. So kitabuhu, who is majroor, daftaruha, ha is majroor, alayhim, him is majroor, and lana is also majroor as well. So at the Damair, then we have the demonstrative pronouns, asma'ul isharati, like hada, hadihi, dhalika, ulaika. However, please remember that we have discussed in book number 2 as well, all asma'ul isharati are mabniyun except for the dual. So the dual are morabun, they are flexible or declinable. So hadani, hadaini, hadaini for the masculine dual, and hatani, hataini, hataini for the feminine dual. So when it is marfu, mansub, and majroor, as you can see here, ani, aini, aini. So the ani, aini, aini sound tells us that this is mansub and majroor. Similarly, hatani, hataini, and hataini. Asma al-ishara, that's number 2. Number 3, relative pronouns, al-asma al-mawsulatu, like alladhi, allati, alladina, and allati. So we have discussed the singular and the plural. And today, inshallah, our chart, like our forms are complete now. So we have completed everything like the verb. We have learned all the forms of the verb, like singular, dual, and plural. Also for the noun, we have learned all the forms of the noun, singular, dual, and plural. And even here, for the relative pronouns and also for the demonstrative pronouns, asma al-ishara, we have also today completed our chart. So it is basically hada, hadani, hadaini, haulai, hadihi, hatani, hataini, haulai, right? So what is the first form of this masculine, singular masculine? For qarib, nearby, hada. For the dual, hadani, hadani, hadaini, hadaini. What is the plural? Haulai. Similarly, hadihi, hatani, hataini, hataini, and haulai. So the plural is the same for all of them, which is haulai. And then we have the relative pronouns, asma'ul masula, alladhi, allati, alladina, and allati. 4 of them we have learned, but we did not learn about the dual. So today you see here over there, alladani, alladaini, alladaini, and allatani, allataini, allataini. So we have alladhi, alladhi for the singular masculine, alladani for the dual, and when it is marfu and when it is mansub, it will be alladaini, and majroor will be alladaini. And similarly, we have what will be the plural? Plural will be alladina. So alladhi, alladani, alladaini, alladaini, alladina, and then we have allati, and then allati, allatani, allataini, allataini, and what will be the plural?
Allai.
Allati wa allai. Both of them. Yes,
Allai
both
is
of them.
used in the Quran.
Both of them being used in the Quran. Excellent. And then this is the end of it. Some interrogative words like man, asma al-istifham, as we know that they are used to ask questions. Man, aina, ma, mata, and kaifa. Which, if we say some, do you remember any ism al-istifham which is declinable?
Ayyu.
Ayyun, excellent.
Ayyus.
Ayyun, ayyan, ayyin, excellent. When it is used as mudaf, mudaf ilayh, it will be ayyu, ayya, and ayyi, excellent. Some adverbs like idha, haythu, amsi, and al-ana. So some adverbs are also mabniyun. Do you remember any adverb or dharf which is not mabni?
Qablu.
Qablu and ba'du, right? Min qablu wa min ba'du. But when we have mudaf ilayh after that, then it will be min qabli and min ba'di. Perfect. Then we have the verbs, the verb nouns, asma'ul fi'l, like they are nouns, but they do the function of the verb. Like amina, and when we stop, we say amin, uffin, and ahi. So they are also mabniyun. And then we have compound numbers. Do you remember al-adad al-murakkabatu? The numbers from
11 to
11 to 19.
99.
The numbers from 11 to 19, la. 11 to 19 only.
19, not 99.
La,
Okay.
la, la. 11 to 19, they are mabniyun.
Yeah,
Mabni ala
the
al-fath.
murakkab. Yeah.
Yeah,
But after that
murakkabat.
also it's murakkab only knows that, but how it will be this thing construction?
Sorry?
Like if you have to say 23, how we have, that will not be a murakkab construction.
No, that will be that's
12 is not there, sir.
No, it's not there because
No,
that is
12 will be
23. If
excluded,
it's
sir.
23, 23,
Sorry?
how do we say that? 23?
ثلاثة وعشرون, and then you have whatever you have, like ثلاثة وعشرون ريالا. So over there we have wow. Wow will be added.
11, okay, wow, Ishrun, okay.
Wow will be
This
added.
is
Okay,
not
so that's why that is called wow al-ma'tufa, which is basically used ثلاثة وعشرون ريالا. But here no wow is added. That's why we say this is compound numbers and they are mabni ala al-fath. أحد عشر كوكبا. Do you remember that example?
yes.
Yeah, and similarly, if you have 13, 14, 15 masculine students or feminine students, so we know that that they are these compound
The
numbers
first
from
one-
11 to 19, from أحد عشرة to تسعة عشرة, along with their feminine forms. So these are basically for the masculine, and for the feminine, they will be opposite in gender. Only the first part of إثنا عشرة and إثنتا عشرة is declinable. Do you remember that? إثنا إثني إثني إثنتا إثنتي إثنتي. So the first part of 11 and 12 is only declinable. Otherwise, from 11 to 19, these numbers are mabniyun. They are non-declinable. So this is
you said 11 and 12 is declinable. Only 12 is declinable.
the first
Onspire?
part of 11 and 12, as we can see here. Only the
Okay.
first part of
First part.
yes, only the first part of 11 and 12 is declinable, as we can see here. إثنا عشرة and إثنتا عشرة, إثني عشرة, إثنتي عشرة. So that's only the first part is declinable. All right, so it's basically a review of everything that we learned in book number 1 and some of the things that we learned in book number 2. So inshallah, tomorrow we will again go through all these things in lesson number 1, basically, which all of them are in Arabic, inshallah. And then I will send you the file as well, so you can relate to it and inshallah go through this file. And tomorrow, inshallah, we will start our lesson number 1. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام. جزاك الله خير.
وإياكم.